On the golden plains of the Masai Mara, a 900-kilogram Cape buffalo grazes through the tall morning grass, unaware that every single step it takes is being harvested by something far smaller and far more calculating. Riding calmly on its back, a snow-white cattle egret watches the ground with sharp, focused eyes, not out of companionship, but out of pure opportunistic hunger. The buffalo's massive hoof lifts and falls again and again, sending a shockwave through the soil that no insect in the surrounding grass can ignore. Grasshoppers, crickets, and beetles buried in the undergrowth feel the tremor and panic, launching themselves upward directly into the open and directly into the waiting strike zone of the egret perched just above them. The bird does not lift a claw to earn this. The buffalo's own body weight does all the work, grinding forward through the grass like a plow, while the egret simply waits for the harvest to rise to meet her. In the wild, efficiency always outperforms effort, and the cattle egret has built her entire existence around exploiting someone else's effort. Most people assume this is a fair trade, a classic partnership like the oxpecker and the rhino. The bird cleans the mammal, removes its parasites, earns its keep. But the cattle egret's blunt, short bill was never built for grooming. It is a catching tool, shaped for snatching insects out of midair, not for picking parasites off skin. She is not a cleaner, she is a scavenger, riding the blast radius of the buffalo's own footsteps. Every strike of that massive hoof carries roughly 240 kilograms of force, enough to send a pressure wave rippling outward through the topsoil, 30 centimeters in every direction. Within that radius, nothing survives undisturbed. The vibration triggers a primal escape reflex in every insect nearby, forcing them up out of the grass and straight into disaster. The egret has learned exactly where to stand. Not behind the buffalo, where the ground is already disturbed and empty, but beside it, slightly ahead, in the fresh, untouched grass where the next wave of insects is about to be flushed into the open. When researchers compared solitary foraging egrets to those following buffalo herds, the numbers told a brutal story. Alone in the open grass, a cattle egret manages roughly 11 successful strikes per hour. Beside a grazing buffalo, that number rockets to 40, an almost four-fold increase in hunting efficiency, achieved without the egret doing anything except positioning herself correctly and waiting. During the harsh dry season, this difference becomes a matter of survival. A solitary bird must hunt for over 4 hours just to meet her daily energy needs, while a bird riding the buffalo's flush zone meets the same requirement in barely over an hour, freeing up nearly 3 additional hours to rest, recover, and avoid the punishing heat of the African sun. Field studies tracking individual birds found that solitary foragers steadily lost body condition through the dry season, while herd followers remained stable and healthy. The difference between life and starvation quite literally comes down to which animal you choose to follow. And here is the part most nature documentaries leave out. The buffalo receives absolutely nothing in return. No alarm calls, no parasite removal, no protection. When a lion creeps toward the herd, the cattle egrets do not sound a warning. They simply take flight, abandoning the buffalo the instant their own safety feels threatened. There is no loyalty in this relationship, no gratitude, only convenience. The moment the buffalo becomes a liability, the birds are gone, searching for the next unsuspecting grazer to exploit. The positioning itself reveals just how calculated this behavior really is. When the herd turns, the egret repositions instantly. When the buffalo accelerates, she adjusts her stride to stay locked onto the flush corridor. When the animal finally stops to rest, the egret does not linger out of affection. She abandons him almost immediately, moving to the nearest still-moving buffalo. Because a motionless animal produces no disturbance, and a motionless animal is worthless to her hunting strategy. During the wet season, this exploitation scales dramatically. Taller grass means denser insect populations and a wider disturbance radius from every hoofstep. What begins as 3 to 5 birds following a herd during the dry months can explode into 40 or 60 egrets swarming a single herd during the rains, each one running the exact same calculated operation, each one capitalizing on the buffalo's mindless daily grind through the grass. The Cape buffalo remains completely unaware that it has become one of the most efficient, unintentional insect farming machines in the entire ecosystem. Even young cattle egrets learn this lesson early. Researchers tracking juvenile birds discovered something remarkable. Those that attached themselves to grazing herds during their first season survived at twice the rate of juveniles attempting to forage entirely on their own. The lesson is not taught through instruction, it is enforced through hunger. Those who fail to find a large moving animal to exploit simply do not make it through their first year. This is not friendship, this is not mutual benefit. This is one of nature's most successful examples of pure one-sided exploitation, dressed up in a peaceful-looking image of a small white bird calmly perched on a giant's back. The buffalo will graze again tomorrow morning, triggering the same shockwaves, the same panicked insects, and the same opportunistic birds, waiting patiently for their free meal to rise up out of the dirt.